Hey, how's it going? So Vladimir Donis here. So one of the things that's on my mind today and or tonight is the topic of how to get better at content marketing. If you happen to be catching this video live, do me a favor, hit pound live. Let me know where you're tuning in from. And if you happen to be catching this video via the replay, do me a favor and hit pound replay and let me know where you are tuning in from. So I'm going to, briefly talk about how to get better with content marketing, but essentially the strategy that I'm going to be discussing can allow you to get better at a lot of different things, right? Because sometimes we think that we have to go down a specific path or we think there's some different things that we have to do to get better at something. But in all actuality, sometimes, right, depending on if you have some of the prerequisites or some of the criteria that I'm going to talk about, sometimes it's much easier, provided you've already done some of the things that I'm going to talk about, and provided you already have some of those criteria. So sometimes it's much easier than you actually think it is, per se. So one of the things that I kind of wish that I would have done a long time ago, right, is as I reflect, I say to myself, man, I wish I would have played organized sports. And the reason why I say to myself, I wish I would have played organized sports is because I like to be part of a team. Not only do I like to be part of the team, I like the whole strategy on, okay, what is the game plan? What are some of the things that we need to do in order to beat our opponent? And the other thing that I think about, I've never really been part of this per se, is I know that, teams and or organized sports, they watch films. They watch films from their own individual plays. They watch films based on the teams that they're going to play. And based on those individual films, they are able to dissect some plays and they are able to put together some game plan. At this point of the game, that whole process just fascinates me, which is why I wish I was part of an organized team. And I started that, back when I was in high school and or middle school. But that's not something that I did at the time, right? I think I played organized sports maybe for a couple of months. I didn't have a lot of interest in it. So, I moved on. So, an organized team can use that specific strategy to put together, a game plan. So tapes, recordings and that type of stuff can be a game changer for those individuals. The other thing that comes to mind, or the other connection that I want to go ahead and make, is I want to make the connection of maybe about, I don't know, maybe like 11 or 12 years ago, one of the jobs that I had is I had a job as a call center representative. If you think about the whole call center process and you think about, hey, you get on the phone call, you call a company, one of the first things you may hear is the saying that this call may be recorded for quality and training purposes. And I remember being on both sides of that token from an employee standpoint. I remember being an employee working at a call center and being called inside of my manager's office at the time to basically review my calls. And as I was reviewing my calls and I was listening, my manager had me listen to my calls. And as I was listening to my calls, I immediately started to kind of just identify some of the things that I can do differently before the manager could even give me feedback. So from a call recording standpoint, being able to capture that stuff, it allowed me and it made me just that much better at my craft. And I remember being on the manager side as well and bringing other people in, having other people listen to their call, and they gave me the same feedback. They say, oh, okay, man, this is what I could have done differently, so on and so forth. So the whole notion of, data, the whole notion of being able to capture things and allowing an individual to evaluate the thing that they've captured and or allow them to improve based on that is a powerful, concept. So now the question you may be asking is, okay, what does this have to do with content marketing? And how does this help me to get better at content marketing? Well, here's how it's helping me to get better at content marketing. The way that it's helping me to get better at content marketing is this is not my first piece of content that I'm publishing. I was kind of just looking back earlier at some of the content that I've published, and I was looking back at 2017 at a post and or a video that I published. And when I listened to that video, I said to myself, okay, that video that I published in 2017, here is some of the things that I can do differently. Here are some of the analogies that I can use to better explain that concept. Here is a story that I can use to drive home the point, and so on and so forth. So, right, I use that strategy all of the time. I go back to my previous content that I've published 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and say, what can I do to improve, and how can I become just that much better at it, right? So hence the topic tonight, content marketing. I'm publishing content. I can do better with the content because it's content that I've recorded, and now I can go ahead and modify it and make changes to it. So for you, what type of content? So here are some of the criteria. What I talked about, some of the criteria you need to have in order for this to work with you. So criteria number one is you need to already have content out there. So you may have had written content, you may have blogs, you may have Facebook posts, whatever content you have. My guess is a piece of content that you published a year ago, 2 years ago, there's probably some things that you can do from an improvement standpoint. You can probably elaborate a little bit more. You can probably articulate your thoughts a lot differently compared to how you articulated your thoughts, several months ago and or a year ago. So that is an exercise that you can go through to improve and or to become just that much better at content marketing. I'm doing that as we speak right now, right? In my opinion, the piece of content that I published 4 years ago could use some improvement. Hence why I am talking about the exact same topic, but I'm talking about it in a different way. I'm using a different headline, and I'm improving, in my opinion. I know I'm improving on some of the things that I spoke about. So here's your homework. Homework is go out and look at your previous content that you've published in the past and figure out how you can improve on it. And if you don't have content out there already, start to publish. Start to put some content out there so that way later down the line, you can have something to refer back to and you can get better at. Just like the players and or people who are part of sports organizations do from an improvement standpoint to put together game plans, just like call center representatives do to become better. You can use that exact same analogy and strategy as well. Hey, Angel, how's it going? So pound live if you happen to be catching this video live. Let me know where you're tuning in from. Pound replay if you happen to be catching the replay. That's it for now. I'll talk to you soon.